I wasn't supposed to check my work email on my honeymoon, but I couldn't help it. Years of being the reliable one at TaskUs had rewired my brain. Even here, miles away from the office, the ocean breeze tousling my hair as I sat on the hotel balcony, I felt the itch to check in. It was a mistake. The subject line was like a shard of glass, concerns regarding recent complaints. My stomach tightened. Marcus appeared in the doorway barefoot and grinning, holding 2 cups of hotel coffee. His wedding ring caught the golden sunset light, a perfect circle of promise. "Britt," he said softly, "you're working." I forced a smile and shut the laptop. "Just clearing out junk mail." He raised an eyebrow. "You promised me. No work on the honeymoon." "I know, sorry, just habit." But I wasn't sorry. Not really. Because even as I let him pull me back inside, wrapping me in his arms, my thoughts stayed with that email. 2 weeks earlier, I'd filed a formal complaint against my manager. It wasn't an easy decision. He was charming. The kind of man who could make an off-color joke sound like a compliment. The kind of man people described as a little old-fashioned with a shrug, as if that excused the way his hand lingered too long on your shoulder, or how he whispered in the break room, "You look different lately. Marriage suits you. Bet your husband's a lucky man." I'd laughed it off the first time. That's what we're taught to do, right? Don't make it awkward. Don't be that girl who can't take a joke. But then came the meeting. He'd stayed behind after the others left. "You're a real asset to the team, Brittany," he said, voice smooth as glass. "I'd like to mentor you personally. Just the 2 of us." My stomach turned. When I didn't answer right away, his tone sharpened. "You're ambitious, aren't you? You want to move up?" Of course. "Then let me help you. I can open doors, but loyalty goes both ways." I reported him to HR the next morning. They smiled politely, took notes, promised they'd look into it, but nothing happened. No follow-up, no investigation. Instead, things started shifting in subtle, insidious ways. Key projects I'd led for months were suddenly reassigned. Meetings went on without me. Emails I sent disappeared into a void of sorry. Didn't see this. By the time I left for my honeymoon, I could feel the walls closing in. And now this email. That night, Marcus was asleep beside me, his hand draped over my waist, but I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying my manager's words, the way his smile had hardened into something darker when I pulled away. "You're ambitious, aren't you? You want to move up?" Had I made a mistake? Was I overreacting? No. I grabbed my phone, opened the notes app and started typing. April the 14th, 7:42 p.m. Break room. He said he could open doors if I was loyal. I said no. His expression changed, cold, threatening. I needed a record. Because I knew how this worked, they'd try to bury the truth. They'd say I misunderstood, that I was too sensitive. They'd make me doubt my own memory, but not if I wrote it all down. 2 days later, back in Texas, we landed at the airport to find my phone buzzing with notifications. I had 14 missed calls from a colleague. "Don't come in tomorrow," one voicemail said. "HR's looking for a way to push you out." The next morning, I stood at the glass doors of TaskUs HQ, badge in hand. I swiped. Nothing. Again, a red light blinked. The security guard stepped out from behind the desk. "Sorry, Brittany. You'll need to check in with HR." His eyes flicked away too quickly. And in that moment, I knew. They'd already made their decision. The badge didn't work. I stood there staring at the red light flashing on the scanner like an accusation. Swipe again. Red. Behind the glass doors, employees bustled past, not noticing, or maybe pretending not to notice me standing outside like an intruder. The security guard cleared his throat. Hey Brittany, you'll need to check in with HR." His voice was too polite. His eyes flicked away too quickly. And in that moment, I knew. They'd already decided. HR's office smelled of stale coffee and fear. The woman waiting for me had a folder on her desk. She smiled tight, professional, rehearsed. "Brittany," she said, "thank you for coming in." I didn't sit. "What's going on?" She gestured to the chair across from her. "Please." I stayed standing. Her fingers brushed the folder as if she were weighing her words. Effective immediately, we're terminating your employment. The words hit like a slap. Excuse me. She cleared her throat. After reviewing recent performance concerns at UO, this is because I filed a complaint, I said sharply. Her eyes didn't quite meet mine. Of course not. Then explain why projects I led for months were suddenly reassigned. Why I was cut out of meetings. Why my badge doesn't work. She pressed her lips into a thin line. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. It wasn't an answer. It was an ending. I walked out with my head high, but as soon as I reached my car, the weight hit me. I sat in the driver's seat gripping the wheel, my breath coming too fast. They'd won. At least that's what they thought. That night my phone buzzed with texts. Jenna, they're telling people you were fired for creating drama. Aaliyah. I heard they said you made the whole thing up. Marcus called me. Now, by the time Marcus came home, I was still on the couch, staring blankly at my phone. They're rewriting the story already, I said flatly. He dropped his keys on the counter and sat beside me. Britt, they can't do this. You have rights. They're $1 billion company. I'm just one person. Then we fight, he said firmly. I shook my head. It won't matter. They'll bury me. He reached for my hand. Not if we make enough noise. Or get someone who can. The next day I started calling lawyers. Most didn't even let me finish my story. Big corporations like that have entire legal teams, one said. Unless you have undeniable proof, it's your word against theirs, another warned. By the 5th call, I almost gave up. Then I found her. Ms. Ramirez's office was nothing like the gleaming corporate HQ I'd just been fired from. No glass walls, no receptionist with a fake smile, just shelves of legal books and the faint scent of lavender. She studied me from across her desk, her fingers steepled under her chin. You understand what you're asking for, she said. Yes, I replied. You're accusing TaskUs of gender discrimination, racial bias, and retaliation for reporting harassment. Yes, they'll come after you hard. They'll dig through your emails, your social media, anything they can to discredit you. I know. Good. She leaned back in her chair. That means you're ready. We spent hours going over every detail, the break room encounter, the meetings I'd been cut out of, the projects they took from me, and the email, concerns regarding recent complaints. As I walked out of her office, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Not hope, not yet, but resolve. They thought they could erase me. They were wrong. The lawsuit was filed on a grey Tuesday morning. No cameras, no reporters waiting outside the courthouse. Just Ms. Ramirez handing over a thick stack of documents to the clerk, her heels clicking against the marble floor. It's done, she said as we stepped back into the chilly air. I nodded though my stomach churned. This is the part where they fight back, she added softly. You need to be ready. She was right. The next day my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts, emails, Twitter notifications. At first it was friends and former co-workers. Jenna, are you really suing them? This is huge. Aaliyah, they're saying you're just trying to cash in. Then the reporters came. One headline read, Former TaskUs employee alleges toxic culture files lawsuit for gender discrimination. Another, Monisos, whistleblower claims retaliation after reporting harassment. Some people called me brave. Others called me a liar. On a local radio show, a male host sneered. Sounds like she just couldn't handle the pressure. This is the problem with these new hires. They cry foul instead of putting in the work. I shut off the radio. That night, Ms. Ramirez called. 2 other women reached out today, she said. They had similar experiences. My breath caught. What? They saw the headline. They're scared, but they're willing to talk if you are. I closed my eyes. I hadn't realized how alone I'd felt until that moment. We met in Ms. Ramirez's office, the 3 of us sitting in a small circle. The first woman, Clara, looked down as she spoke, twisting her wedding ring nervously. He cornered me in the copy room once she whispered. Said I had a killer smile, and maybe I could get promoted faster if I, played nice. The second, Marisol, clenched her fists. I went to HR. They told me not to misinterpret his intentions. 2 weeks later, they put me on a performance plan. 3 weeks after that, I was gone. Their stories mirrored mine. Different details, same pattern. Charm, suggestion, retaliation. A predator hiding behind policy. By the end of the week, 5 women had come forward. And suddenly it wasn't just my lawsuit anymore. It was ours. TaskUs responded exactly how Ms. Ramirez predicted. They denied everything. These allegations are false and malicious. We pride ourselves on a culture of inclusion and respect. Then they went on the attack. A source leaked my personnel file to a blogger. Former employee Brittany Lee had multiple documented performance issues prior to her termination. Marcus found me curled up on the couch staring at my phone. "They're trying to destroy you," he said quietly. "I know, then destroy them first." 2 days later, Miss Ramirez dropped a bombshell. She slid a printed email across her desk. "I read it once, then again. We need to get rid of her before she causes trouble. Document everything. Create a paper trail." It was from my manager. Sent to HR. A blueprint for my downfall. Ms. Ramirez's smile was cold. They thought they were clever. They weren't. The press ate it up. Headlines shifted overnight. Internal emails reveal retaliation. Plot against whistleblower. TaskUs faces firestorm as more women speak out. Cable news anchors debated it in measured tones. Is this an isolated incident or a systemic issue? And for the first time in weeks, I felt it. Not fear, not doubt. Leverage. The conference room was too cold. Sterile white walls. A long mahogany table that felt more like a battlefield than a meeting place. On one side sat TaskUs' lawyers, 3 men in identical grey suits, all with the same practiced polite smiles. On the other side sat Ms. Ramirez and me. She placed her leather briefcase on the table with a soft thud, her calmness cutting through the tension. "They're not here to fight," she murmured. "They're here because they know they've lost." The lead counsel cleared his throat. "We're prepared to offer a settlement." They named a number. It was higher than I expected. But Ms. Ramirez didn't flinch. She leaned forward slightly, her voice like steel wrapped in silk. "You're not just paying Brittany for what you did to her. You're paying for every woman in your company who stayed silent because she was too afraid to speak up." The men shifted uncomfortably. "We also expect non-monetary terms," Ms. Ramirez continued. "Mandatory harassment training for all management. An independent audit of your HR practices. And the immediate termination of the supervisor in question." The lawyers exchanged glances. "That's aggressive," one muttered. Ms. Ramirez's smile didn't waver. So was retaliating against my client for reporting misconduct. There was silence. Then the lead counsel exhaled, defeated. "We'll take it back to our client." 3 days later, they agreed to everything. The settlement was confidential. No one would ever know the exact figure. But the headlines told their own story. TaskUs settles discrimination lawsuit, implements sweeping reforms. Whistleblower victory, a culture of silence finally shattered. For the first time in months, I could breathe. But I wasn't naive. This wasn't victory. Not really. You don't erase sleepless nights and whispered rumors with a check and a press release. But it was a start. The last time I saw my former manager, he was being escorted out of TaskUs HQ, his cardboard box of belongings balanced awkwardly in his arms. Our eyes met for half a second through the tinted glass of Miss Ramirez's car. He looked away first. 2 weeks later, I sat on my couch scrolling through emails. One caught my eye. It was from Clara, the first woman who had joined me in the lawsuit. "Thank you. I didn't think I could ever do this. But because of you, I did." That night, Marcus found me staring out the window, lost in thought. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Do you regret it?" "No," I said softly, "not even for a second." They had tried to erase me, but instead, they erased themselves. And in their place, I built something stronger. A voice they couldn't silence. A story they couldn't control. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It doesn't come with fire or fury. It comes quietly in the form of change they never wanted and can never undo. Subscribe, leave a comment, and follow me to hear more incredible stories coming your way.